The rain started late Friday afternoon. One of those heavy downpours that made you question whether your roof could hold. The sky turned charcoal gray. And by the time I looked out my front window, the street was turning into a shallow river. Water flowed down the curb, swirling leaves, twigs, and small debris toward the storm drains. It wasn't unusual for our neighborhood to flood during storms. But this time, it seemed worse. I stood on my porch, umbrella in hand, watching the torrent sweep past. That's when I saw her, Karen, the self-appointed queen of our homeowners association. She was wearing her signature pink raincoat. Phone in hand, glaring across the street, at me. Before I could even wave, she shouted over the rain. "This is your fault, Mark," she yelled, her voice barely audible over the thunder. "Your gutter water is flooding the street." I was stunned. My gutter water? How could that possibly flood the entire street? "Karen, it's been raining for hours," I shouted back. "Everyone's water is running off the roofs. That's how it works." But logic didn't matter to Karen. She marched straight through the rain, splashing dramatically, her phone camera already recording. "I told the HOA this would happen when you installed those new gutters. They're not to code. I'm reporting this." I wanted to laugh, it was absurd. My new gutters were installed by a licensed contractor. I'd even cleared them the week before. Still, she was convinced I was the culprit behind nature's wrath. By the next morning, the rain had stopped. But the drama hadn't. My phone buzzed nonstop with HOA messages. A special emergency meeting was scheduled. The topic: street flooding incident, possible code violation by homeowner. When I arrived at the clubhouse, Karen was already there, standing by a projector. Photos in hand, screenshots from her video, showing torrents of water pouring from my downspout. "This is the problem," she declared. "Mark's gutter system is redirecting water into the street. It's causing blockages." I tried to explain that my water drained into the street storm system like everyone else's. But she wasn't having it. "An engineer will be brought in," the HOA president said, trying to mediate. "We'll find out the source of the blockage." Karen smirked at me, confident she had already won. As I walked home, frustration boiled inside me. I'd done nothing wrong, yet I was being accused of flooding the neighborhood. I glanced down the street, where the storm drains still glistened with leftover water. One in particular, right in front of Karen's house, was piled with soggy leaves. I had a gut feeling this story wasn't over, and when the engineer showed up, the truth would finally flow free. The following Monday, a white pickup truck pulled into the neighborhood. Its side emblazoned with Caldwell Civil Engineering. Out stepped a tall man in a yellow vest and muddy boots, clipboard in hand. "Morning," he said to me. "You must be Mark." I nodded. "That's me." "You're the engineer the HOA hired?" "Yep." "Name's Evan. Heard there was a flooding issue. Mind if I take a look around?" Karen appeared almost on cue, as if she'd been watching from behind her blinds. She strutted down her driveway with her tablet ready, already narrating the situation like she was filming a documentary. "This is where the water overflowed," she said dramatically, pointing to the curb. "It all came from his gutters." Evan looked unimpressed. "We'll let the data decide, ma'am." He began by inspecting the slope of my driveway, the position of my downspouts, and the direction of water flow. He even used a small leveling tool to check the grade of my lawn. Karen followed him the entire time, tossing passive-aggressive comments like confetti. "His installer probably didn't follow code," she muttered. "I told him the HOA requires certain runoff angles." Evan interrupted politely. "Actually, your HOA code follows city standards. From what I can tell, his system looks fine." Karen blinked. "What?" "But the water." Evan raised a hand. "I haven't finished yet." We walked further down the street. Evan crouched near one of the storm drains, brushing away wet leaves with his glove. "This drain's half blocked," he said. "That's unusual after a single storm." Karen's tone grew defensive. Maybe his gutter debris flowed down here and caused that. Evan looked up. Possible, but debris usually accumulates upstream. Let's check the rest. He moved toward the next drain, right in front of Karen's property. From where I stood, I could already see clumps of leaves, twigs, and even a small plastic planter wedged against the grate. Evan frowned. This one's completely clogged. Karen stiffened. Oh, really? Must have been from the storm. He grabbed a small tool from his truck and started pulling the debris free. Mud, leaves, and thick sludge poured out. The smell hit us like a wall. This didn't happen overnight, he said flatly. These pipes have been blocked for weeks, maybe months. Karen's face drained of color. That can't be right. Evan turned to me. Your runoff wasn't the problem, Mark. The backup started here. The water had nowhere else to go. I couldn't help the small grin tugging at my lips. The truth was beginning to flow out. Just like the freed up water now. Gushing through Karen's drain. Karen wasn't ready to accept defeat. Even as Evan scraped out the last of the muck from her drain, she stood with crossed arms and trembling lips. There's no way this is my fault, she declared. I maintain my property. Evan looked up, calm and professional. When was the last time you had your drain pipe serviced? Karen hesitated, eyes darting to the side. I clean my gutters every spring. That's good, Evan said. But I'm asking about the underground drain line that connects your downspouts to the storm system. She blinked. Oh, well. That's city property, isn't it? Evan shook his head. Not in this neighborhood. HOA bylaws state that homeowners are responsible for the section of piping within their property line. That includes your underground drains. Her mouth opened, then closed again. I didn't know that. Evan pulled a small inspection camera from his truck and fed it into the drain pipe near her front yard. The footage appeared on his tablet. What we saw was disgusting: roots, clumped leaves, and dark sludge clogging every inch of the pipe. This buildup has been happening for a while, Evan explained. That's why water overflowed during the storm. It had nowhere to drain. Karen's pink raincoat suddenly didn't seem so bright. So, you're saying it was my drain that caused the flooding? I'm saying the evidence points that way, Evan replied gently. I stood quietly, trying not to smirk, but she noticed anyway. Don't look so smug, Mark, she snapped. Maybe your gutters still contributed. Evan chuckled softly. Actually, I checked his runoff line, it's perfectly installed. If anything, his system helped redirect some of the excess flow. For once, Karen had no comeback. She mumbled something about needing a second opinion, and stomped back up her driveway. Evan finished taking notes and promised to file a full report with the HOA board. Later that evening, my phone pinged with messages from neighbors. Word was spreading fast. Apparently, several people had seen Evan cleaning out Karen's drain, and they weren't surprised. She's been ignoring yard maintenance for months, one message read. Karma, man. I sat on my porch, sipping coffee, watching the now clear street glisten under the setting sun. For the first time all week, it felt peaceful. But I knew Karen wouldn't let things go that easily. People like her never did. Sure enough, around dusk, she showed up again, this time clutching a printed HOA regulation book. I'm appealing the engineer's report, she announced. And until it's resolved, you're still responsible for keeping the drains clear. I couldn't help but laugh. Sure, Karen. But maybe you should start with your own first. 2 days later, the HOA board held its follow-up meeting. The clubhouse was packed, neighbors curious, annoyed, and eager for drama. I sat quietly in the back, while Karen, ever dramatic, took her usual front row seat, stacks of papers in hand. Evan arrived right on time, binder under his arm. I've completed my report, he said simply. Would you like me to summarize? The HOA president nodded. Please do. Evan opened the binder. After inspecting the affected area, I found that the flooding originated from a blocked drain line beneath Miss Karen's property. The blockage consisted of decayed organic matter and root infiltration, conditions that build up gradually over time. Mr. Marks' drainage system was found compliant and functioning as intended. A low murmur spread through the crowd. Karen shifted uncomfortably. That can't be correct, she interrupted. Those pipes were fine before the storm. Evan calmly turned his tablet toward her. Here are the inspection images. On the screen, clear as day, was the inside of her pipe, jammed with roots and muck. Gasps filled the room. The HOA president cleared his throat. Karen, it appears the issue wasn't your neighbor's doing. Karen's face turned red. But his gutters. Our city approved and recently cleaned, Evan interjected. I verified the installation records myself. For once, Karen was speechless. Then, to everyone's surprise, the president added, furthermore, per HOA regulations, property owners are responsible for maintaining their own drain lines. Failure to do so can result in fines. You could almost hear the snap of Karen's composure breaking. She slumped into her chair, muttering something about hiring new landscapers. The meeting adjourned shortly after. As people filed out, a few neighbors clapped me on the shoulder. Guess the queen finally got dethroned, one joked. Outside, Karen avoided eye contact as she stormed to her car. Evan chuckled beside me. You handled that well, he said. Some folks can't admit when they're wrong. I smiled. I've learned it's better to let the facts do the talking. He grinned. Well, the facts sure spoke loudly today. The following weekend, I saw a maintenance crew outside Karen's house, digging up her front yard to replace the old pipes. She stood there, arms crossed, supervising, but not saying a word to anyone. When the next rain came, the water flowed smoothly down the street, vanishing neatly into the drains, no floods, no drama. As I stood on my porch, watching the storm, I couldn't resist a quiet chuckle. The truth had finally washed everything clean. And in the end, even Karen had to face it, sometimes. The real problem lies right beneath your own front yard.